to really try and recognize some of the great thoughts coming out of IIT faculty and alumni through such a contest. Professor U.B. Desai was the first one to try and put shape to these ideas, and then after he took over as director of IIT Hyderabad, Professor Ali Contractor carried it through. And of course, a very large number of faculty were involved in looking at the ideas and trying to figure out, which were the best ideas. Now, this was a very difficult job, and I see many people in the audience who were involved with this exercise because this was not a business plan contest or some kind of scientific idea contest or something like this. It was just a contest to decide on the best idea. And I think what my colleagues tried to do was to see whether these ideas were at least plausible. And I think that was really the main way in which they shortlisted. And then we had a very committee which was chaired by Dr. Chidambaram, which looked at the shortlist, including, I think, besides Dr. Chidambaram, another person who put his mind to it was Professor Mark Welland of Cambridge University. And finally, they agreed on these two. So, sort of very high level or a high standard was set. And as a result of this, though we started with 900 ideas, finally we could get 2 ideas, which I think are both excellent. I'd also like to say that Mr. Adi Godrej is part of our advisory council, and so when Mr. Alik Padamsi proposed this idea, he was keen to support it, and in fact Godrej has provided financial support, as I understand, for at least parts of this contest. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the people who are involved, not only in formulating and sort of judging this contest, but also all the 900 who actually put in the time to put their ideas forward. So I think this is a good time to thank them. I'm very glad that the Institute decided to hold such a contest. It was as part of our Golden Jubilee celebrations, and it took quite some time for us to actually go through this because it was something very new for us. But I think it fits well with the vision of the Institute, which is to really try and promote innovation, encourage innovation. And when I look back, I think that we have learned a lot from this whole process of attracting ideas, trying to decide what is a good idea and so forth. And I'm sure that if we had to do it again, we may do something slightly differently. But I think this is something that the Institute should do. We should encourage ideas. We should somehow be able to recognize good ideas and to reward them in some way. And I'm sure that you would like to come up with schemes to implement this in the future as well. So right now we have a deficit. The name of the contest is actually the 10 great ideas which will change the world in the next 50 years. So Dr. Chidambaram has suggested that there's still a long time. 50 years is a long time, and perhaps we can try and find these other 8 ideas which will fill out the list of 10 in the time to come, in the near future. And I think that is a very valuable suggestion, and perhaps we can think of ways of doing this kind of thing. Of course, you can look at many examples that, if you look at some of the big things, like let's say Google, it was a very simple idea that people should be able to find things on the net easily. And it was not a big company that came up with the idea, it was just 2 postgraduate students working in a lab. And that thing grew to be something huge. And I'm sure that these kinds of ideas, and if we have the environment to encourage them, can have a big impact in terms of converting into innovation and then finally into value for the society. So with those as sort of brief introductory remarks, it's really a pleasure to introduce Dr. R.Chidambaram. Many of you are very familiar with him. I regard Dr. Chidambaram to be part of IIT Bombay. He was earlier the chairman, board of governors of IIT Bombay, and has been closely associated with IIT Bombay over many years. Dr. Chidambaram is currently the principal scientific advisor to the government of India, which I regard to be one of the most important positions in this country. And really, he has used that position to promote many different kinds of things very effectively. Things that I have seen at a first hand are the starting of the Center of Excellence in Nanoelectronics at IIT Bombay and IIT Bangalore. Starting from scratch, now we have facilities in these two institutions which are comparable to the best in the world. And I think for the nation, this is really a great progress. And he has done many other such things like the National Knowledge Network. There's a project called CAR for automotive research and so forth. And I'm just saying a few things off the top of my head, but there are a huge number of these kinds of projects which have had a major impact. Before he was principal scientific advisor to the government of India, he was the chairman of the Department of Atomic Energy, and he made many important contributions in that field as well. And so with that as a very brief introduction, Dr. Chidambaram, it's a pleasure to invite you to say a few words to the audience.
Thank you, Dr. Khakhar, for his nice introduction. Professor Devang Khakhar, Professor EQ contractor, Professor U.V. Desai, who has now moved to Hyderabad, director of the IIT there, members of the faculty of IIT Bombay, and my young friends. Now this initiative, to launch this initiative itself was, I think, a great idea. You mentioned that. Mr. Alit Padansi, the former IIT director, Dr. Ashok Mishra. I was asked to be in this committee for selection. I wondered what is meant by a great idea. It's not easy to talk about research. We understand the really generation of new knowledge in all its variegated forms, basic research, applied research, talk of discoveries and inventions and so on. And innovation which is really adding economic value, societal benefit, or strategic value to knowledge. Even knowledge not necessarily generated by yourself, it can be knowledge generated by others. Japanese were very good at it at one time. In the 60s and 70s, we used to say, UK got the Nobel Prizes, Japan got wealthy. We have also what we call insights. Insights, probably there's a starting point. And then, of course, this word ideas are used differently by different people in many contexts, many different contexts. But for example, somebody who thought of flying, human flying, I think that is a great idea. Of course, a long time before somebody built an aeroplane or be able to actually fly from one place to another. This idea that while mangrove can grow in seawater and rice needs fresh water, it's a great idea, I think, to say you can transfer the salinity gene into rice. Or what a great thing, you don't need water, you just grow it with. See, other people, Toyota, I am told, are the great guys for ideas because they encourage them. And I was surfing on the net and I found that an average Toyota employee gives more more than 100 improvement ideas every year. They also use the word idea there. Most of them fail, most of them are trivial. But at least they are encouraged to give ideas. That is the starting point in any organization. Of course, some of these ideas do turn. That's why Toyota is such a great company. Some of them can create great economic value. Even in innovations, we talk about breakthrough innovations, incremental innovations, scientific breakthroughs we talk about in science. Of course, most of it is more pedestrian research, which is hardly noticed by others. Of course, you can go on counting it in list of publications. Of course, you can qualify it by impact factor. Here we are talking about great ideas which can make a difference to the world if they succeed. Of course, they may not also succeed, at least not fully. I remember when I started doing research 50 years back, a little after I started doing research, that when you start researching in any field, you must know something about the subject but not too much. And now here is the danger of the web, internet access. You think you do modern technology and sit at the net, tries to grasp everything that has been done about the... I think I'm cut off. Did I touch something? I'm audible? Yes. I'm back. It's all director that. See, they said, this is a book I think advising how to start scientific research. They said when you start in a field, you must know something about the subject, but not too much. If you know too much about the subject, the feeling is your creativity dies. Of course, you may find as you go along that you may be replicating something which has already been done. But from my experience, I have found it's hardly ever completely so. That is why all these ideas, obviously they are ideas. These are not things which have been thought to completion or fully thought out. Of course, these are ideas which can, of course, don't have to follow a straight, well-defined path. There may be divergences. And that is why I was very happy to be part of the group which was given this onerous task. But the onerous part of it we transferred to the IIT guys. We just sat in the office and said, do this or do that and all that. Because they had to make a selection from a total of about 900 plus ideas. And I can tell you it was not easy, it was possible only because of this large number of faculty who carefully shifted through. They brought it down to 15 of them, first shortlist. Then I think the 4 of them you called to make a presentation. And out of the 10 ideas, we have picked a couple this time. Just like in technology foresight analysis, which is a dynamic exercise, this is a dynamic exercise. That's what we were discussing with Professor Khakhar. If you are having a time span of 50 years in your mind, even if it will take 5 years to complete this list of 10 ideas, which can make a difference to the world or certainly to the country, it will be tremendous. Now, there have been many efforts. It's not only effort, this kind of effort. But my feeling is that they have all been usually at rewarding innovators and innovations. A few months back in the MIT Technology Review, which calls itself a magazine of innovation, they selected 35 innovators under 35. How old are you, Deepak?
Forgot.
You are definitely under 35.
Yeah, 29.
Huh?
29.
29, so under 40. But you know, those are like, nanoparticles mimicking good cholesterol to fool the system, to treat cardiovascular disease, cheap medical devices, synthesized speech for the blind, painting nanowires into electronic circuits and so on. Those are all very well-defined innovations. Our criterion for selection was different because we were looking for ideas, not just innovations. We were looking at people, looking for people who think differently. This guy definitely thinks differently. And it was refreshing to see many who fulfilled this criteria. The idea of Mr. Sanjeev Shankar, about which you heard, of ubiquitous planting of green bricks, the human-plant interaction he talked about, which he seeks. And the paradigm shift that it attempts in the relationship between humans and the environment. I think incidentally you also address climate change concerns. So did you mention it?
I did.
But I think if you go so green, surely you are doing something about the climate change concern. And both of us, Dr. Mark Welland and myself, we thought it was the best. The brick here is used, as he mentioned, as a unique building block. And its structure and role redefined in a fairly open way, using advances in technology and of course, developments in botany and material science. The proposal of Mr. Devang Khakhar and Mr. Atul Seksaria attempts a lighting technology which is more energy efficient than white LEDs. Most of us think that CFL is better than incandescent lamps, and white LEDs are better than CFLs. But then we stop there. We think the white LED is the end of the road. Not seen anybody talking beyond that. What Devang Khakhar and Seksaria have had this idea to go beyond that. The idea that you should go beyond the energy efficiency which white LED recommends, which most people think is the end of the road. And that is what has been recognized by this award. As I said, it's not easy exercise. I thank Dr. Khakhar, Dr. Contractor and all his colleagues in helping the committee through detailed discussions and making the final selection, and I wish all the best. These two guys are idealists who want to change the world in their own ways. And all of us, I think, is there to help you in our own small ways to the extent possible. But the job is obviously yours. Thank you very much.